All over our cities, along our coastlines and across our green and pleasant land, an invisible army is fighting a never-ending war. Their enemy is the filth that we create and the vermin that thrive on it. Welcome to the hidden world of the grime fighters. On Grime Fighters tonight, Litter Picker Lou reminisces.
That's the first pussy I've felt for ages, that is.
Pest Controller Pete gives us a tour of his kitchen.
Got 80, maybe 90 snakes here, just under the 100.
Extreme Cleaner Rob gives up.
Found something dead in here, it won't shot you.
And Westminster Enforcement Officer Pete's taking no prisoners.
I live in this city and I like to see it a clean city.
In Leicester, AJ is the man from the council whose job it is to clear out the 22,000 council flats and houses after someone has either left or been evicted from one of the properties. Today he's been called to a flat where a tenant has been evicted. He's about to make a seriously grim discovery.
Oh God, look at this.
This one-bed flat has been reduced to a virtual slum. Every room is filled with all manner of revolting rubbish, drug paraphernalia, syringes, bottles of urine and human excrement. The detritus would normally be bad enough, but the whole structure of the flat has been vandalised, with offensive graffiti in every room, the kitchen cabinets smashed and all the doors kicked off their hinges.
This is definitely a nightmare job for me. Obviously, I don't know what's underneath here. Looking at the floorboards, it doesn't look so promising at the moment. It's looking very bleak at the moment. It's council property and they've trashed it, really.
A clearance like this, with the ever-present threat of finding lethal syringes, AJ's regular clean-up teams won't work in this environment, so AJ is going to have to call in the specialists to deal with this type of job.
This is a big job. I'm going to get a special company to come in and it'll all get charged to the previous tenants. They don't actually get away with just leaving the property. We'll make sure that they don't get another property until they pay up for this one.
Even though the flat is a scene of total depravity, AJ always looks on the bright side.
It's going to be another few weeks before this one gets ready, but we'll get there slowly. Nothing deters us.
Now it's just a question of making a detailed photographic record of the state the property was left in, while AJ waits for the specialist team to turn up. In Dagenham, East London, Pete, the council's pest controller, is starting yet another shift, dealing with the borough's unwelcome guests. In his daily duties, Pete sees it all: bed bugs, rats, cockroaches, and today, his old adversary, the common wasp.
Well, another day, another morning for Barton and Dagenham Pest Control. I'm doing wasps today.
Pete's been called to a house where the tenant has complained of a wasp's nest in his loft. In this confined environment, the chances of getting stung are even greater than normal.
It's a bit of a dull day, which is quite a good day for me to do wasps. So they're going to be a bit more dormant inside. If they're inside the loft, I'll be able to handle them a bit better and not, hopefully not get stung.
In a loft situation, Pete can't just take a chance and go in immediately to confront the wasps, so he first sprays the outside of the property with a chemical that calms the wasps down. Then he can more confidently get up into the loft and check out the lie of the land and make a plan of attack. The nest is quickly identified, beautifully constructed under an eave. Pete tries to keep the use of light to a minimum when dealing with the wasps in lofts, as the insects are attracted to light sources and will go for the bright lights if they're threatened.
The torch will be set on the wasp nest there, and I'll be working, say, somewhere here. So that way, if anything does go wrong, the wasps and all that will go to the torch, to the light, and not to me, hopefully, and that's my escape of getting out if it does get a bit bad. I have been in a couple of situations where I've been in a loft and the owner said, "You all right up there?" and actually turned the loft light on, and I was literally covered with a load of wasps all over me with my suit on. Luckily that day I never got stung once, but I must have had about a good 50-60 wasps on me.
But as Pete recovers the torch, something else is suddenly attracted to the light.
Bloody hell, that's an hornet. I'll turn that light off, Steve.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to get stung, and that's an hornet.
In Leicester, AJ's specialist clean-up team have arrived to deal with the revolting flat, so AJ eases them into the job.
Oh, horrendous place up there. I tell you what, it stinks up there. Really is really bad. There's a few needles up there, but obviously we don't know what hammer we're going to find. So do be careful. But yeah, it's a bad one.
Even though the boys are expecting the worst, on first impressions the reality doesn't get any better.
Not again. Right mess.
Well, this is why you come work in the morning, isn't it?
Dave's seen all this before, but the one thing that doesn't get any better is the frustration.
You see yourself and all your friends, how they live and everything, you think, oh yeah, you know what I mean, everyone lives like that, tidy and everything, and then you find places like this that, how can people live in this? People who leave the houses like this just, I mean, don't deserve an house, might as well be homeless on the streets.
But for the boys, what keeps them going is the satisfaction it gives them when the job's done.
You know, when you see something like this and then a couple of days later you see the finished product, you think to yourself, you know, you've done yourself proud. It's just a shame that people can get like this, and then you think to yourself, after we've done all this, is somebody else going to come back in here and do the same again?
Aside from clearing all the rubbish, the vital thing as always is the disposal of the needles, which in these situations could have the potential of carrying serious diseases.
The main priority is the needles, obviously, because they've injected themselves, they don't know what they've got, AIDS, HIV, anything like that. The needles are in the obvious places where obviously they've been sitting and just either injecting themselves with heroin. It could be anywhere, like stabbing out of anywhere, so you've just got to be really careful.
Once the flat is free of needles, then the big clean-up can begin. In Wolverhampton, the city's proudest litter pickers, Lou and his partner Dave, are starting their daily rounds, but unusually losing a bit of a grump.
We're here again. Different day, same old beer cans in the street. People just chuck them out of cars. I just can't work out at times why they just don't pick them up and chuck them in their bin at home. Whatever it is, we've picked it up. We've got the cans, we've got the bags, we'll chuck it away. Tin over there, David, don't be frightened to pick it up. Here, I'll get it while you're doing nothing.
But luckily, there's always something to lighten Lou's mood.
That's the first pussy I've felt for ages, Harris.
It's also one of the few cats he's seen that Lou hasn't recently scraped off the road.
I love animals, you know that. We don't want him in the freezer at Culwell Street, do we? He's too nice.
So now Lou's back on track, time to get to grips with a small hedgerow.
How the hell has that got there? Look at that. It's a wine bottle, that is. Lambruschi, I think it is. Oh no. Who put that in there? You'll never believe this. Look at that. Dinosaur bones. Look at that. Hold your foot up, let's see if it's one of yours. No, it ain't one of yours, is it? Chuck it in the bag, eh?
With Lou back on form, let's hope the rest of the shift continues to be so enjoyable. In Dagenham, pest controller Pete has togged up to face the wasp's nest in the loft. After seeing loads of wasps and what he thought was a hornet, he's taking no chances.
I've got my suit before I enter because I'll get too hot, and my gloves. I've got my torch already in there. I'm ready to go and find it.
On getting up into the loft again, fortunately there's no sign of the hornet, so Pete's ready to do his worst on the nest, but he feels strangely sorry for the occupants.
When I actually remove their nest and show you the structure, it's just unbelievable, all the time and effort they've done for me to come along and kill them.
After his diligent planning, it's a quick job to spray the nest with insecticide and hopefully kill all the wasps. He can now remove the nest from the eaves. Back outside, the intricacy of the nest is a wonder to behold.
To actually build something like that with that diameter all the way through the nest is unbelievable. How they do it, I don't know. If I actually bend it slowly, you can actually see the actual wasps where they've grown from the grubs. You can see them all lined up from like the grubs and forming to the wasp, which then turns out, if I take this one out carefully, is what you end up with for next year.
At the horrendous house clearance in Leicester, the boys are still making some revolting discoveries.
That does, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Found something dead in here, it won't shot you, because anything could be in it, couldn't it? So people have just lost it, haven't they? Lost reality of life.
The more worrying finds for Dave, though, is a child's bag and book. To have a child staying in this environment is for him shocking.
Having a kid living here in this state, it's not really healthy, really. At some time, yeah, there must have been someone living here with kids, or kids stopped over, you know, like, I don't know, nieces, nephews, etc. But if I wouldn't allow my kids coming in.
But things get worse with the discovery of a stash of drugs.
There's a bag containing 2 sachets there, not too sure what's in them. but it's probably either heroin or some sort of drug in there. We can't just go around him, and we'll have to go through our gaffer, and then he'll contact AJ, and then it'll go through to the police, and then they'll deal with it.
For Rob, who's been doing this kind of work for over a decade, the depressing thing is he's now being called to these type of clearances more and more, facing the dangers of drug paraphernalia and deadly syringes. If these places are indicative of the state of the world today, then Rob's insight into present-day life is truly alarming.
When I first started, there were probably 2 a year top, but now it's probably 1 per month. So that just shows the extent it's getting to. Now it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Where's it going to end in the end? Well, definitely worse than animals. We've seen that over the, well, I have over the years. Animals wouldn't live like they, well, they certainly wouldn't do what that people do. People are worse than animals.
Coming up in part 2, the boys get on top of the flat, Pete shows off some friends at home, Lou clears some fly tips, and out of the dark comes Peter, patrolling a horrible night in Soho. Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. In Dagenham, East London, Pete the pest controller has returned home after a long day dealing with the wasps. For a man who spends his life eradicating rats, mice and insects from the houses of the borough, you might think that when he gets home he's had enough of hunting vermin, but not a bit of it. His whole garden is dedicated to the fine art of falconry.
This is Marana, which is French, means goddess of death.
For Pete, there's nothing more he'd rather do than let someone else do the killing on his days off, and Marana is a perfect candidate to do just that.
It's a Finnish goshawk from Finland. It's one of the bigger varieties of goshawks, and this is me falconry bird I go hunting with.
But Pete's got another friend in the shed that instigated his passion for falconry.
Right, this is a Harris hawk, and this is Bonnie, and believe it or not, she's 22 years old. I've had her from since she was a chick.
For Pete, flying and hunting with these birds initiated his love of the chase in tracking down his quarry as a pest controller. But working with these birds of prey is all about the true purity of the hunting he loves.
Most of my job's to do with hunting, with my pest control, and then hunting with my birds. But it's a fair challenge with a bird.
But it's in the house that Pete has some more surprises when it comes to the menagerie that share his kitchen. In Leicester, extreme cleaners Dave, Rob and Lee are making good headway, clearing the repulsive council flat filled with the most horrific contents. Even though they've been here most of the day, they're still finding the odd nasty surprise.
In a cup, what were on the shelf? I must be saving it for some reason.
But working in this environment, dealing with the ex-tenants' flagrant disregard and abuse to both themselves and the council's property, it's starting to anger Dave.
People that just like are given this sort of thing on benefits and then they just live like this. I mean, it does disheart you a bit because you think to yourself, yeah, I'll work all day and these just sit on their arse all day and just make it look like a tip.
The boys' main problem before they could blitz the room was the needles littering the property, but after meticulous searching, they've recovered all that are visible. Time now to start shifting the big stuff. The main problem is extricating the sofa, but some of the furniture has to stay where it is because the tenants have 28 days to come back, be let in and claim their valuables as their eviction was immediate. For Dave, though, he feels otherwise.
Personally, yeah, I do. I think everything in the place should just be gutted out, nothing in it, just walls and floors for the council to refurb, put refurnishing in it, everything for the next tenant. I don't think the tenant who used to live here should be set foot back in this place. At the end of the day, they've left it like this, that's it. They shouldn't be allowed back in.
The huge number of needles and the sheer devastation has slowed the boys down. So at the end of the first day, they've only cleared the sitting room. The rest of the flat will take them over a week to clean before AJ can come in and start to measure up to redecorate the place and put it back on the market. Let's just hope the new tenant will appreciate everyone's hard work. In Wolverhampton, litter picker Lou and his partner Dave have brightened up their daily routine with the discovery of a little fly tip.
Oh, here we go again. David, bit of a fly tip over here. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it's only a Mona Lisa. Well, almost. The island cows, a few snails on it. That'd be a nice picture, that would. David, do you want this picture to take home?
No.
Why not? To look lovely in your front room. You don't want it? No. OK then, I'll chuck it in the van. You've had your chance, right? All this furniture I find for David and he doesn't want none of it. I can't understand why not. It's took us 5-10 minutes just to clean that bit of a rubbish up. How long would it took the person that dumped it there to put it in the bin? Same amount of time.
All that's left to do now is to give the area a good sweep, and that includes the slugs.
Thrushes survive on slugs. Look at them, thousands in the trees. We'll never get rid of slugs, will we? They've got to have somewhere to live. Do you have any in London? I bet you do.
To finish Lou and Dave's shift, they've given themselves a treat to head down to a more picturesque part of the city, the local park. It's great to even briefly get away from the normal fare doled out by the more beleaguered parts of the city.
Obviously, we've got the rough areas that need cleaning regular, and you've got nice parts as well. It's a pleasure always to come here. Obviously, people are very tidy, clean round here. So you only get the odd bits of rubbish, which is very nice.
Lou has his own ideas on why places like this are so clean.
If you see no litter, you tend not to drop any litter. I think it's psychological at times. If you're here and you see nothing, you think, oh, I'm not going to drop any litter there. It's lovely and clean. We'll plop it in the bin.
But as Lou and Dave go about their business, basking in the evening sunshine, one thing's for sure, tomorrow they'll be back to the grind, tackling the worst Wolverhampton can throw at them. After the revelation of what's living at the bottom of his garden, Pete, Dagenham Council's pest controller, has a few more surprises in his kitchen.
I've got 80, maybe 90 snakes here, just under the 100.
Apart from the plethora of snakes, Pete also shares his kitchen with a few lizards and a dustbin full of crickets. Pete has always been passionate about his slithery friends, but he's a bit nonplussed as to why.
There's something about snakes, I don't know what it is, but if you ask someone, why do you keep snakes? I don't think they can really give you a true answer, because I think they're just fascinating, but they don't do nothing. There they are, sitting in there, just sitting in the box, doing nothing.
But you would think that his wife and daughter would run a mile with Pete's chums taking up most of the kitchen, but not a bit of it. One of the biggest is his daughter's special friend.
This is one of her snakes. I'll have to use a stick on this because it's a bit feisty. This is an Indian python, but it's an albino Indian python. They get to about 18 foot. And this one's only like 4 or 5 foot. But just ease her out slowly. I mean, that's coming really on lovely, that is now, that snake. And this is her snake. This is her little baby.
Pete's had a long career in all manner of work, from lorry driving to being a keeper at London Zoo. But for him, pest control is absolutely his dream job.
I've been doing it about 2 years coming up now, pest control. And basically, it is a job for me. That is me, pest control. There's a lot of good comes out in pest control. You help a lot of people, you get a lot of rewards. So yeah, I think I'll be doing pest control for the rest of my life, I think, now.
Policing the London's West End against illegally dumped rubbish is a career for individuals who have resilience, tenacity and a meticulous no-nonsense approach. During the day, Jarno has consistently exercised a zero-tolerance stance towards the illegal dumpers. But if one thought he was obsessive, out of the rain-soaked darkness, starting the night shift, Pete takes over the reins to make sure everyone is adhering exactly to the letter of the law.
Yes, thank you, Control. I'll take over from here. I'll now be Control for the night service, over.
From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. most nights, Pete is in control of all the waste enforcement and collection in London's West End. So as well as his own duties, he's in communication with all the other operatives on the ground. But while digging around in a bag full of condoms from a massage parlour, being in touch with everyone can have its downside.
Apparently what was happening in my earpiece was interfering, and they could hear me on the airwaves talking about massage parlours. God dear. Never mind. Onward and upward.
In doing his job, Pete's main weapon to clear away rubbish and slip hazards are his shoes. He gets through some 6 pairs a year, but his shoes won't even make a dent in this load of bags. Even though the company has put out the rubbish on time, passers-by have added to the pile and the unsuspecting company could get the blame.
I'd like to see it a bit neater, stacked against the wall. It looks as though it's just been thrown on, but you can see there's bits of cardboard in between in this box here. And I found some evidence in the box to say where it's come from. The whole thing about it is the business has a duty of care to make sure the waste doesn't escape, and they're supposed to put it out tidy. Well, that's not tidy. Okay, it might be a neat pile, but unfortunately they could make a bit more effort of pushing it against the wall, standing it up straight, make sure the bags are tied and make sure everything's contained, and it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this company a duty of care warning, and they'll have it in the post in the next few days.
Further down the street, Pete spied the chef of a restaurant putting out a bag that's leaking on the pavement. For him, that won't do at all.
Hello, this is Westminster City Council. The chef has just brought out a bag of waste.
That's right.
Can I have a quick word with you about it? You just put that bag out and see the bottom split, and there's a box in there. Can you ask him to rebag it for me, please? Sure. Otherwise that's going to be over the street. Yeah. The thing is, these bags are going to be out for a little while yet, and it's a crossing. So if people start kicking these bags, then the waste is going to end up on the street. So let's deal with it now, get it settled, get it sorted, get it rebagged, then we won't have a problem.
The customer is only too happy to oblige, and Pete's chuffed.
I'm happy now, yes.
On a busy Friday night like this one, Pete's job is often hampered by general overexuberance.
What are you doing down there?
Yeah, she's on the camera.
Come on.
But whatever the public can throw at him, it's Pete's passion for the job that keeps him going.
I don't like to see things untidy. That's my nature. I live in this city, and I like to see it a clean city. And, you know, really, at the end of the day, if I can help, then I will.
As he turns the corner to reveal another sordid street, one thing's for sure, Pete's relentless fight is not over yet.
Oh dear.
Since the filming of the show, after some 2 weeks of hard work by the boys, AJ has successfully re-let the horrendous needle-infested council flat.